So you want to sell your home and you're thinking about the value of it. If you're like most people, you're going on Zillow. Maybe you're going to realtor.com, maybe you're going to Redfin, or some other valuation sites, trying to figure out what your home is worth by looking at these numbers and then getting an idea, maybe averaging them out and just trying to figure it out. In a perfect world, that would be a great strategy, but it doesn't work. If you're doing that, you're leaving a lot of money on the table, or even worse, you're significantly overpricing your home in the hottest real estate market ever. So I'm going to give you an example really quickly, and I guess it might not be that quickly. I want to dive into it a bit. Right now, we have a client. They're looking for a property, and we are under contract now. So it's good that it hasn't closed yet because what happens is, I don't know if you've ever seen this, but like if you look at a property and do this for an example if you want, find a property that you like online before it's sold, something that's available, and do like a screenshot of Zillow or Realtor.com or Redfin, whichever one of these home valuation sites. Look at the number that they estimate the value at. And then once it sells, once everything's closed and there's a record of the property selling, then check back at what the property valuation is. It's amazing how accurate they are. Once it sells, then they'll be super precise. But at the end of the day, they're just looking at numbers from the past. And nothing against any of these websites because I use them all the time. It's great information. And I think it's important to have other websites besides, the realtors ones. So let me share an example of this property that I'm telling you about. So this property, they're asking 499 for it. You can't see what I am moving. I'm moving my Zoom thing. I don't think you can see it, but anyways, this property, it's in Hollywood. Some places say it's in Davie. It's on the edge of both areas. This is in Florida. For those of you that have never watched this video, um, we have a team in Miami. It's called All in Miami, the All in Miami group. There's five of us, and we sell properties in Miami-Dade County and Broward County. And so this property is in Broward County, according to Zillow, 7791 Northwest 38th Street. It's in Hollywood. They're asking 499 for it. It says that it has three bedrooms, two baths, 1426 square feet. These numbers tend to be about what it is, but sometimes when you look at square footage, you got to be careful about it if you're doing valuations on that, because sometimes it's living area, which is typically like under AC. Sometimes they'll give you adjustments for like stuff in a balcony, maybe under a percentage in the garage, but living area is usually the number that you look at. And especially if you're looking at a single family homes, there could be numerous things that will like change the value price per square foot. It could be like the lot is bigger. It could be one is built way later than the other. It could be that one is updated more than the other. So price per square footage isn't that great. Price per square foot isn't that great unless it's like where it works really well is if it's in the same building, same view, around the same floor, similar upgrades, then yeah, price per square foot is good. But in Miami, Broward County, Miami-Dade County, for single family homes, if you use it, it's a little bit rough unless it's apples to apples, which a lot of times it isn't. Sometimes if it's new construction, it could be close, but whatever. Just look at price per square footage um, as something that maybe you don't want to like push that hard unless it's a similar condo. Anyways, with that said, this property, they're asking 499 for it. Zillow says it's worth 508. And I'm gonna tell you like what the buyer is paying for it. We're closing on Monday, so it's okay. All the contingencies have been made. I'm giving you a little bit of, um, I guess I'm foreshadowing the future because it's not closed yet. But anyways, so this property is for 499, there it's 508 is what Zillow says. So I'm going to go to realtor.com. I'm sorry, this is Redfin. Redfin, same property. You can see the same property, 7791 Northwest 38th Street. They say it's in Davie, same zip. So it doesn't matter. It's in, sometimes it's called Davie and sometimes it's Hollywood. And it's funny because this property, the water bill comes from Hollywood, yet the sewer and trash comes from Davie. So it's understandable that it could be different in different websites. So it says active under contract, which I told you about. This property built in 73. Redfin says it's worth 506. So Redfin says 506. Um, Zillow says 508. Let me move this out of the way. I'm gonna go to another website. So I used to work at a company called One Sotheby's, and they had this tool. It's called Buy Side. Buy Side gives you a few different estimates of a property, and it's just like all these other aggregators. And it's funny because like when you create these websites, um, a lot of these companies that create like home valuation websites, it's a lead generation for a realtor. Because if you see the website, it's called findbuyers.com. So it's usually to try and get business, which is okay, but that's why they create these tools. So in this valuation of property, again, 7791 Northwest 38th Street. Let's see the square footage differences. Here it says 1426. Redfin says let's see what they say, 1426. And this one says 1426. So same thing across the board. So they have three valuations. They say it's worth 465. Another one, Zillow says 508, which we saw, which I don't, was it 508? Yeah, it was 508. And then they have this other one and they say it's 496. So going to the last one, realtor.com, same property, 1426 square feet, 499, 400, just 500,000, built in 73. So you could see it's the same property. Their home valuation is, um, they say it's from 337, crazy number. Another one is for 340. This says June 2019, so I'm not sure what that means if they just don't have an updated value, but whatever. But see here, it says a hot market, so it's a hot market right now, and so that's what I wanted to share with you. And before I get into that, we all know like Zillow has this Zestimate, right? This Zestimate that we spoke about. Some of the people call it Z estimate. It's Zestimate. And a lot of times when people are selling their homes, again, I love Zillow. I used to pay, 5, 6,000 a month to use Zillow to help my business. And Zillow is a great website. But with that said, their values aren't that great because it's tough. Zillow had, and I'm going to share with you an article in Architectural Digest. They had a business where they were buying properties. I'm sure you guys, many of you have heard of it. But while they were doing it, so imagine you have these billions of dollars to buy properties, but you're going to probably think you're going to use your algorithm because you're saying what properties are worth. But when they did it, they had to close down the business. Their values were so bad that it says, well, Zillow states that its core business remains strong. So core business is getting agents to pay for advertising. The failure of its offers division, so that's when they buy the properties, when they were buying the properties, was enough to produce company-wide quarterly losses totaling 330 million. So they were making a profit of 40 million in Q3 of 2020, yet this article was November 4th, 2021. So around the time when Zillow disbanded their business, I think that's a word, of buying I forgot what it was called, some home offer, whatever it was called, but their offers division lost 330 million. So that's using their algorithm to figure out what properties were worth, yet it did so poorly that they had to close down. So with all this information, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now. So with all this information, what's my point, right? Why am I telling you this? And if you think I'm just doing this to bash websites, I'm not. This is a really difficult market. And all those websites that I spoke about are great websites. The problem is we're in a market. So this is my 18th year doing this. June of this year will be my 18th year in real estate. And during my time in real estate in '06, '05, '04, '05, '06, '07, that was a really, really hot time in real estate. That time was very, very different than this time. At that time, you just needed good credit to get a loan. You didn't need to prove any income. I mean, there were so many times when people were making 30, 40,000 a year and they were buying $1 million home and they were putting very, very little down because at that time they had what was called a stated income loan. A stated income loan was just saying on paper what you make. And because of that, the market crashed. So our market, no matter, even though that time the market was super busy, the market now is exponentially busier and rentals are busier. We're in a much, much different market. There's so many cash sales now in South Florida. In fact, I got a stat today and it said Naples, Florida, very, very wealthy area. It's on the west coast of Florida by Fort Myers. Anyways, Naples in January of 2022, out of every single property that sold, 64% were cash transactions. So when so many transactions are being purchased with cash, you're going to have very, very few foreclosures because, out of that 64, you only have 36% that are financed. And out of those, a decent amount are big down payments. And when you're in an appreciating market, it's hard to get your offer accepted unless your offer is strong, meaning a good down payment, very, very well qualified buyer if you're not paying cash. In Miami, it's a little bit different. We're not at 64%. We're probably like 35 or 40% cash, which is still a very, very high number because Miami's quite a bit bigger than Naples. We sell a lot more homes here. So, with that said, back to the websites, back to like these home valuation sites. At the end of the day, as sellers and like probably 99% of the real estate agents, they figure out what a value of a property that they're putting on the market the wrong way. Okay. So I'll give you an example. In this case, like a seller and a real estate agent typically looks at what a property sold for. They look at comps, they call them comparable properties that sold in that neighborhood, in that building, or whatever, and they see what's sold. The problem is that's not how buyers look. But if you're buying a house, you're not looking at what stuff sold for in the past. You're doing it differently. You're in this case, person would probably say, I want to get a property that's probably between 4 and 600,000, or whatever, 5 or 600,000, whatever the number is. Um, then I want at least 3 bedrooms, at least 2 baths. I need maybe 15 or 1,700 square feet or more. I need something built from 1970 or newer and a yard a certain size. That's what they do. The problem is at that whole time, they're not looking at what's sold in the past. They're trying to find a home that works for them, especially during times when there's tight inventory, when there's very few homes to search for. You're not being super specific about certain things when there's nothing to choose from. So in this case, if I did that search, and I did it earlier, if I wanted to buy a property that is, between 400 to 600,000, and I need something from 1970 or newer, at least whatever the square footage around, maybe like 13, 14, 1,500 square feet, give or take. Whenever someone is putting in criteria, they add a little, they subtract a little, they get like a little bit of a range. Then they would probably say, okay, I want to get something maybe in this area, this neighborhood, this zip code, or multiple areas, multiple zip codes. So when I did that search, and something that was updated, because this home that you could probably see from the photos, it is updated. Um, that there was very, very few properties that came up. There were only 6 properties that came up, and they were significantly worse than what this one that's being sold is, the one that our client is under contract with. So what does that do? I mean, it's obvious, but I asked that question because even though it's an obvious answer, a lot of times when sellers, like 99% or more of the time, people don't look at what their comparison market is. Because in a market when there's so little inventory and your property stands out so much from the rest, you could probably price it more. Or if you don't price it more, you're still going to get much more than that. In this case with this property, there were so many showings on the property. There were many offers. At the end of the day, our buyer, even though it's listed for 499, even though these websites range from like three something to five and change, but like I think it was let me share my screen, let me find out what the number was again. So Zillow said 508, 508. Redfin said 506. This estimated home value thing said 465. That's Zillow again, 496. And Realtor.com had super old information from, let's find, they said it's a hot market. Home value, I don't even know why they have home value because it's from 2019. It says it's 328, 357. And so, like, I mean, even though I'm not saying anything bad about the websites, I'm going to say something bad now about Realtor.com. Come on, man. Like, why are you going to provide this home value information from 2019 and show that it's 328, 357? You show the current list price at 500. Like, dude, are you going to you're going to make whoever looks at this website, if they analyze your data, they're going to they're not going to buy the property. They're going to get killed. I mean, look, we're at 2022. Look at the value they're at. It's it's like, I mean, they're like at 400. There's no way. So bottom line, this property is going to close at 571,000 cash deal. And because in the past, I'm saying cash because in the past, buyers, doing this for so long, typically a buyer, if they're paying cash, they'll say, what sort of discount do I get because I'm paying cash? And in this market, in this appreciating market, you are not getting that. So the whole point of this video is, if you're going to sell your home, by all means, go to those sites to get an idea of the property. But more often than not, that's not going to help you figure out what to price it at. And it's not going to help you whether you go to Zillow, Redfin. We saw how crazy the numbers are. They're all way off. But if you do something else and you look at what your how many properties are there that a typical buyer would be looking if they did a search similar to yours, how many different options are, and if there's only like five or six, and that property that you're looking at is the nicest out of those five or six, it's probably going to sell for significantly more than what they are asking. And also, it's probably there's probably at least a one-third chance or more that it's going to be a cash buyer. So if you're financing, you may need to waive some of your contingencies, maybe say that you'll pay over appraised value. Maybe you forego an inspection if you know about properties, if you have someone that knows and they look at it, or if the property is newer, maybe you do that. I'm not telling you what to do, but those are things that would get the offer accepted. Those are what your competitors are doing. If you are in the market right now to buy a property, and you don't have to, just know that you are competing against people that are, a lot of them are paying cash. the ones that are financing are putting big down payments. They are they're probably waiving their appraisal or paying like 10, 20, 30% over appraised value. And a lot of them are waiving their inspections. At the end of the day, is it a good time for you to buy or not? Depends. If you have to buy something, you have to buy something. But if you're not ready to compete against those type of buyers that are competing with you, it may make sense to hold off a while to buy. And I did a video in the past. If you go to the let me figure this at the 207 mark in this video, if you go back, I'm gonna have a link up top to my basically my first impressions in the first month and a half of 2022. You could just click that. You probably saw it while you were watching the video, but at the 207 mark, you will see you will be able to click on that link and it'll share with you my thoughts of what's going on with the market. Hope this helps you guys. If you ever have a question, comment, whether you do business with us or not, it doesn't matter. We're always happy to help. Thanks so much for watching. If you like our videos, please do subscribe. And if you want to get our videos the second they're released, make sure to hit that notification bell. Thanks so much. Hope you're doing well. Stay safe. Love you guys. All the best.